In a vast, dimly lit room filled with holographic screens and futuristic gadgets, a group of cadets gathered around a large central display. The air was thick with anticipation. Each cadet, wearing sleek uniforms and badges, had become accustomed to their rigorous training in the Galactic Defense Academy. Today, however, was different. Today was the day they would face something none of them had ever expected. Commander Elena stood at the front of the room, her stern gaze sweeping over her eager pupils. "Pay attention," she instructed, her voice firm yet calm. "What you're about to see is classified material. It is for your eyes only." With that, she activated the central display, and the room fell silent. A crackling noise filled the air, and suddenly, a video flickered to life. The footage showed a barren planet, its surface pocked with craters and jagged rocks. The camera angle shifted, revealing a group of aliens known as the Zorathians. They were tall creatures with green skin and elongated limbs, their eyes a glowing yellow. They were gathered around what looked like a human captive. The image was shaky, as if someone was trying to capture it in secret. "It's important that you understand the gravity of the situation," Commander Elena said. "This footage comes from a recent reconnaissance mission. The human you see is unlike any other we have encountered." Her voice was laced with urgency. The cadets leaned in closer, their eyes wide. The camera focused on the human, whose face was hidden beneath a cloth. Suddenly, the human raised their head, and the cadets gasped. The face they saw was familiar to them. It was Cadet Lucas, one of their own. "No way!" shouted Mira, her disbelief evident. "That can't be him." "But it is," whispered Jalen, one of Lucas's closest friends. "I recognize his eyes." As the footage continued, Lucas spoke to the Zorathians in a strange language mixed with desperation and courage. His voice carried through the room, and the cadets felt a surge of pride tinged with anxiety. Lucas had always been brave, but now he was facing a fearsome alien race alone. Commander Elena paused the footage. "This was recorded 6 days ago. We need to understand how he was captured and what information he may have about the Zorathians. This is a pivotal moment in our fight against them." The room buzzed with murmurs of concern. Cadets began discussing possible rescue plans, each voice rising in urgency. "We can't just leave him there," Jalen exclaimed. "We need to get him back." "No, we need a strategy," Elena firmly stated. "This isn't just about one cadet. The Zorathians are planning something big, and we must be careful." As the conversations continued, Myra's eyes darted around the room, trying to grasp the weight of the situation. She raised her hand and spoke up. "What if we can use the footage to learn their weaknesses? Maybe we can find a way to communicate with Lucas before we launch a rescue mission." Commander Elena considered this. "That's a valid point, Mira. We can analyze the footage further to find any details we might have missed. Every second we waste, Lucas could be in danger." The cadets agreed, their minds racing with ideas. They divided into teams to study the Zorathian language and find ways to communicate with their friend. As they worked diligently, the atmosphere shifted from uncertainty to determination. They knew they had to act swiftly, but wisely. Later that evening, the cadets gathered again, exhausted but focused. Lieutenant Zara, a skilled linguist and technology expert, stood at the forefront. "I've made progress deciphering the language. It seems the Zorathians respond to certain key phrases and emotions. I believe we can send a message through the transmission they used to capture Lucas." The group felt a renewed sense of hope. With Zara's help, they crafted a short message that conveyed their support and love. Mira stepped forward, her voice steady. "Let's do this. Lucas needs to know we're coming for him." With the message ready, the cadets worked to establish a connection. Hours passed as they input data and adjusted their devices. Just as fatigue began to weigh them down, a flickering light signaled a breakthrough. They had made contact. The screen flickered, and suddenly Lucas appeared. His face was marked with exhaustion, but his eyes sparkled with relief. "Guys, is that you?" His voice came through crackling, but clear. "Yes, Lucas, we saw the footage. We're here to rescue you," Jalen shouted, unable to contain his excitement. "Be careful. The Zorathians plan to use me as a bargaining chip," Lucas warned. They underestimate me. I've gathered information about their weapon systems, but I need to be careful. They are always watching. Commander Elena spoke calmly. We need to devise a plan that will allow us to rescue you safely while disabling their defenses. You've been brave, Lucas. We'll come up with something. Lucas nodded, a glimmer of hope crossing his face. I trust you all. Just be cautious. These beings are intelligent and ruthless. As the message concluded, they faced one another, a mixture of determination and fear in their eyes. They knew they had a monumental task ahead of them. It was no longer just about a single cadet. It was about the safety of their academy and their planet. The team spent the next few days planning their move. They integrated strategies, analyzed the Zorathian structure, and rehearsed their roles. As the moment of the rescue approached, the tension in the room was palpable. On the day of the plan, the group boarded their sleek, advanced vessel. They were equipped with new technology that would shield them from the Zorathians' detection systems. Elena piloted the ship while the cadets braced themselves. We are ready, she announced, her voice steadfast. Let's bring Lucas home. As they approached the planet, the surface came into view. The Zorathian stronghold loomed large, and a chill ran down their spines. This was it, the moment they had trained for. Together, they stormed the base, moving stealthily but decisively. They encountered Zorathian guards, overcoming their opposition with teamwork and skill. The atmosphere was thick with resilience. Finally, they reached the chamber where Lucas was being held. When he saw them, his face lit up. You came. I knew you would. With the rescue mission a success, they made their escape, leaving behind chaos in their wake. As they flew back home, the cadets felt a profound sense of unity. They had faced the unknown together, and they had triumphed. The room that had once fallen silent now erupted with cheers, hope, and laughter as they celebrated their victory. The bond they shared was stronger than any Zorathian threat. Together, they were a force to be reckoned with. The room fell silent. Every eye in the briefing chamber was glued to the holographic display. Static crackled as the ancient footage flickered to life, showing a lone figure standing defiant against an overwhelming alien horde. The date stamp read, 2242, pre-Federation, pre-contact, even for most species present. Captain Eva Rostova felt a shiver crawl down her spine. Around her, seasoned officers of the Galactic Federation Navy shifted in their seats. The room was a melting pot of species. Stoic Thar, with their chitinous armor, graceful Sylvans, their skin shimmering like moonlight on water, and pragmatic Grolak, their multiple eyes blinking in unison. Yet, they were all united by an unnerving fascination. On the screen, the lone human soldier, clad in outdated ballistic armor, roared a challenge, his voice echoing across the desolate battlefield. Energy weapons fire ripped past him, explosions rocked the ground, but he stood firm. He fought with a ferocity that bordered on madness, a whirlwind of bullets and bayonet strikes against an enemy that outnumbered him 100 to 1. Magnify subject, Admiral Thrax, a towering Thar, ordered, his voice a deep rumble. The image zoomed in, resolving the soldier's face. It was young, barely more than a boy, etched with grim determination. His eyes, visible even to the grainy footage, burned with an unyielding fire. Facial recognition? The Admiral questioned. A Sylvan officer, her fingers dancing across the console, replied, Processing, match found. Cadet Ethan Cole, currently assigned to Federation Training Academy, Earth Division. The silence in the room deepened, becoming almost palpable. A cadet? The grizzled veterans exchanged bewildered glances. This couldn't be the same callow youth who tripped over his own feet during drills. Eva felt a knot of unease tighten in her stomach. She knew Ethan Cole. He was in her advanced tactics class. A bright kid, eager to learn, but also clumsy. Endearingly so, perhaps, but hardly the stuff of legends. The footage continued. The human, impossibly, was winning. He moved with a speed and precision that defied physics, dodging laser blasts, disarming alien warriors, and turning their own weapons against them. He was a force of nature, a one-man army tearing through the enemy ranks. The enemy designation? Admiral Thrax inquired, his gaze fixed on the screen. Unknown, the Sylvan officer responded. Their genetic markers are unlike anything in the Federation database. The archaeological surveys on the colony world designated them as the Reavers. Eva knew the Reavers. Ancient, warlike, and utterly ruthless. They had vanished centuries ago, leaving behind only whispers and nightmares. The implication was terrifying. If a single human, with primitive weaponry, could hold them off, what could the Reavers do against the unprepared colonies? The footage reached its climax. The human soldier, wounded and bleeding, stood atop a pile of alien corpses. He raised his weapon, a defiant roar tearing from his throat, before the screen dissolved into static. The lights in the briefing chamber flickered back on. The silence stretched, broken only by the hum of the ventilation system. Well, Admiral Thrax said, his voice low, "This changes things." The briefing was dismissed, but the image of Ethan Cole, the cadet, the soldier, remained burned in Eva's mind. She had no more. Later that evening, she found Ethan in the Academy's training gym, working late on the obstacle course. He was still clumsy, still tripping over low barriers, but there was a new intensity in his eyes. "Cadet Cole," Eva said, approaching him. He straightened up, snapping a quick salute. "Captain Rostova, ma'am." "At ease, Cadet. I want to talk to you about the Reaver incident." Ethan's face paled. He looked away, avoiding her gaze. I don't know what you're talking about, Captain." Eva raised an eyebrow. "Don't play coy with me, Cole. We've seen the footage." He sighed, the fight draining out of him. "I was hoping that it wouldn't come to light. Why, you were a hero. You saved countless lives." "But at what cost?" he muttered, his voice barely audible. Eva stepped closer, her voice softening. "Tell me what happened, Ethan." He hesitated for a moment, then began to speak. He recounted the story of a forgotten colony world, attacked by a force thought to be extinct. He spoke of a desperate defense, of friends lost, and of a power that surged within him when all seemed lost. "It was like a switch flipped," he said, his eyes distant. "I could see everything, predict every move. I knew exactly what to do, how to fight. And where did this ability come from?" Eva asked. Ethan shook his head. "I don't know. It just happened." Eva considered his words. The Federation had encountered similar phenomena before. Latent genetic abilities triggered by extreme stress. But this was different. This was something more. "Do you still have this ability, Ethan?" He paused and nodded slowly. "Sometimes. Usually during simulations. But it's getting stronger." Eva's mind raced. The implications were staggering. If Ethan possessed a dormant genetic ability that could turn an ordinary human into a super soldier, what other secrets lay hidden within the human genome? "The Admiral wants to speak with you, Ethan," Eva said. "He believes that your abilities could be crucial in the coming conflict." Ethan's expression hardened. "Conflict? What conflict?" "The Reavers," Eva said grimly. "They're not gone. They're coming back. And this time, they're bringing an army." The news hit Ethan hard. The ghost of his past had returned to haunt the present. The weight of responsibility settled on his young shoulders. "What does the Admiral want me to do?" he asked, his voice tight. "He wants you to train," Eva said, "to hone your abilities, to become the weapon we need to fight the Reavers." Ethan looked at her, his eyes filled with doubt. "I'm just a cadet, Captain. I'm not a soldier." "You were a soldier once, Ethan," Eva said, her voice firm. "And you will be again. The fate of the Federation may depend on it." Over the next few months, Ethan underwent rigorous training. He excelled in every discipline, mastering advanced weaponry, tactics, and combat techniques. He was no longer the clumsy cadet Eva had known. He was becoming something else, something more. But with his growing power came a growing unease. Ethan began to have nightmares, vivid dreams of endless battles and alien horrors. He saw the faces of the dead, felt their pain, and heard their screams. "It's getting harder to control," he confessed to Eva one night, his voice trembling. "The power, it wants to consume me." Eva knew the risks. She had seen what unchecked power could do to a person. but she also knew that they needed Ethan. He was their only hope against the Reavers. "You have to fight it, Ethan," she said, her voice urgent. "You can't let control you." Ethan nodded, his jaw tight. "I will, Captain. I promise." The day of reckoning arrived sooner than expected. A massive Reaver fleet emerged from hyperspace, attacking Federation outposts along the frontier. The war had begun. Ethan, now promoted to lieutenant, stood on the bridge of the Federation flagship, the Dauntless. He was surrounded by seasoned officers, but all eyes were on him. He was their secret weapon, their last hope. "Lieutenant Cole," Admiral Thrax said, his voice echoing through the bridge, "you have your order." In a dimly lit barracks of the Galactic Academy, a group of young cadets gathered for a routine debriefing. The air was thick with excitement and uncertainty as they whispered amongst themselves. The sound of footsteps echoed down the hall, signaling that Commander Kellen was approaching. The cadets knew this meeting would be different. Commander Kellen entered the room with a stern look on his face and a holographic projector under his arm. He glanced around at the eager faces. "Cadets," he began, "we have a very unusual situation at hand." The cadets, including Mia, a bright and determined young woman with an insatiable curiosity, leaned forward in their seats. They sensed that this was more than just a regular training exercise. Beside Mia sat Sam, a tall, tech-savvy boy who could fix just about anything but struggle with his confidence. On the other side was Tara, a fierce and competitive cadet who always wanted to be the best. Commander Kellen activated the projector, and the room was filled with a flickering blue light. The image of an alien landscape appeared, a place they all recognized from the recent planetary exploration assignment. But something was off. In the center of the footage stood a figure, shrouded in confusion. It looked human, but was unlike anyone they had ever seen. "This," Kellen said, voice steady, "is a recording we retrieved from the orbiting satellites over Asteron 5. The human in the footage was coming from a mining camp that had been reported missing." The projected image showed the figure moving slowly, glancing around as if it were lost. Suddenly, a series of flashes erupted in the sky. The cadets gasped. What was happening? The footage was grainy, but vivid enough for them to see that the figure was in trouble. "Is that person?" Mia began, but Kellen held up a hand, silencing her. "We don't know who this is or what they're doing there. What we do know is that they need help." Turning off the projector, Kellen continued. "Your mission this evening is to deploy to Asteron 5, locate this individual, and bring them back safely." Excitement surged through the room. They were going to be on a real mission. The initial thrill overshadowed the difficulty of what lay ahead. The cadets, consisting of 6 members, made up the odd mixture of experience and desperation to prove themselves. As the cadets prepared for their journey, Sam bit his lip nervously. What if something goes wrong? I don't think I'm ready for this." Mia placed a hand on his shoulder. "You are ready, Sam. We all are. Just remember what we trained for." Tara chimed in, her competitive spirit ablaze. "We can't let fear hold us back. We can do this as a team." The mood shifted, and soon the cadets were working together, gathering supplies and reviewing their operation plan. They boarded their small ship, Star Chaser. Mia piloted, her hands steady on the controls. As they broke through the atmosphere, they watched as the stars glimmered against the blackness of space. Asteron. Phi was visible below, an exotic world swayed in vibrant colors of green and blue, but marred with dark patches of scorched land. The cadets landed in a clearing near the mining camp, their hearts racing with anticipation. "Okay, let's split up into pairs," Kellen instructed. "Tara and I will check the perimeter, while Mia and Sam search the camp. Keep your comms open." Mia's heart raced as they entered the mining camp. The buildings were still, and an eerie silence hung in the air. The footage they had seen felt more real now. What had happened to the people who once lived here? Suddenly, Sam stumbled upon some abandoned equipment. "Look at this," he said, pointing. "This is advanced tech, but it's all broken. Whatever happened here must have been serious." As they rummaged through the debris, Mia had a strange feeling, a deep sense of connection to the figure in the footage. What if this person was somehow linked to them? She shook her head, trying to push the thought away. "Check this out," Sam's voice broke through her thoughts. He had found a small device buried under the rubble. It looked like a communicator. This might be useful. Let's keep looking, Mia urged. With renewed focus, they ventured deeper into the camp. Then, without warning, the ground trembled beneath their feet. The cadets were thrown off balance, and a distant rumble filled the air. A sense of dread washed over them. What was that? Sam yelled. Mia scanned the surroundings, feeling more anxious than ever. We need to move now. Just then, they heard a low voice echoing from behind a building. Help me? It was a figure from the footage. The cadets raced toward the sound, pushing through the remnants of the camp. In a small clearing, they found a figure, a young man covered in dirt and sweat, looking exhausted but alive. You're real, he gasped, eyes wide. I thought I would die here. Mia felt a rush of relief mixed with confusion. Who are you? How did you get here? I'm Eli, the man replied, trembling. I was part of a mining team, but we hit something dangerous. I've been hiding from it ever since. As Eli recounted his story, the rest of the team regrouped. Tara's eyes narrowed as she listened intently, and Kellen quickly reassessed their environment. We need to get out of here before whatever did this finds us. Suddenly, the ground shook violently again, and a dark cloud of smoke billowed from the nearby mountains. We'll be trapped. Sam shouted, panic rising. Mia took the lead. We can't go back the way we came. We must find another route. They sprinted toward the thick brush surrounding the camp, adrenaline fueling their movements. Eli kept pace with Mia, his face a mixture of hope and despair. Just as they reached a narrow path, the ground erupted again, and a creature emerged from the smoke, a massive, shadowy monster, its eyes glowing menacingly. The cadets froze in fear. We need to fight back, Tara shouted, pulling out her energy blaster. But Mia stood firm. No, we need to escape. Eli's eyes widened. You don't know how dangerous it is. We're not just facing a beast. We were too close to something far more terrifying. Then what do we do? Sam asked, his voice shaking. Drawing courage from her classmates, Mia made a choice. We need to work together. We can distract it while the others make a run for it. With quick thinking, Kellen coordinated their efforts, using the surroundings to their advantage. Tara fired the monster, drawing its attention while Mia, Eli, and Sam tucked behind a boulder, ready to move. The battle became a blur of sound and chaos as they darted around, using their training to outmaneuver the creature. Finally, when the monster seemed distracted, Mia yelled, "Now!" They raced into the thick trees, breaking through the dense foliage. Declarations of teamwork filled the air as they ran together. Eli's relief palpable as they safely distanced themselves from the chaos behind. After a frantic sprint, they emerged onto a clifftop overlooking the mining camp. They stood together, gasping for breath, as they watched the destruction unfold below. The monster let out a roar that echoed through the valley. We did it! Tara cheered, throwing her arms around Mia and Eli. We actually did it. Mia turned to Eli, who was staring at the camp in shock. Thanks for helping us, Eli. You were amazing out there. Thank you for rescuing me. Eli replied, a glimmer of hope in his eyes. I might have been lost without you all.